Hey peeps, Sarah here from Sparrow Springs, and today we are going to be focusing on 3 different techniques to create an acrylic abstract painting, mainly focusing on color, contrast, and texture. As I begin my first painting, I am simply putting dots of paint on my canvas, and going from dark to light with a small amount of dark paint on the other side as well. The key here is to make sure your light paint doesn't get swallowed up. Now we are using quite a bit of paint, but the beautiful thing about acrylic is that you can get some texture from it, so we want to use enough paint to take advantage of that. For this color scheme, I'm going with more of a complementary scheme from blue to orange. So as you will see, I'm actually placing my straight up colors on my surface, but you could choose to pre-mix your colors too. I don't, because I feel it really enhances the nuances of the colors and adds texture. I'm using a canvas textured paper, but you could certainly do this on a regular canvas. Once my paint is placed on my canvas, this method involves using a palette knife. And what I am doing is just cutting through the paint to move the colors around and mix, being sure to cover my entire surface. I do find it helpful to work from dark to light, but being sure to pull my light colors into my dark, as it's very easy for the dark colors to take over. Once my surface is covered, I'm taking my palette knife and directing the texture a little bit so that it has a little bit of a crosshatch look. Now, a palette knife can take some practice to get used to it, but overall it can be a fun tool with abstract painting. Next is a super easy technique, but in this one, the key is color placement. The thing we want to avoid here is muddy colors. So as I place my paint on the surface, I'm trying to avoid putting complementary colors directly next to each other. Now this is actually a trick that I learned when dyeing wool in fiber arts. When you want to put colors next to each other that don't mix well, put a barrier color in between them. So I find that the crimson and phthalo blue aren't the best together, but they work well with yellow ochre. So that's what I'll put in between them. Or I know that crimson and phthalo green don't work super well together, but both of them look nice with my lake blue, so I put the lake blue in between them. This is also really important not to lose track of your light colors, so put minimal black and more white if you can. The next step is to place a piece of Saran wrap over your surface. Optionally, you can put a small canvas in a Ziploc bag. This is also a fantastic idea if you have kids that want to paint but you don't want them to get super messy. And it's also a kinesthetic's dream. So basically, you just start pressing down the paint and spreading it around. Sometimes I take a comb and push the paint around a little bit, but it's extremely important to use light pressure. You don't want to scrape the paint around. After you feel like you have adequately mingled the colors, then you have the satisfying moment of removing the Saran wrap. Oh yeah, satisfying. This one is definitely fun with more colors, and I feel it gives it a more interesting look. Now the final method is by far my favorite. I made a series of these paintings as 16 by 20s to go with some poetry for my goddaughter. So basically I lay in some paint, keeping it pretty rough but really focusing on the contrast and the color transition. It doesn't need to be precise, but I just want a general composition. With this method, it's super important to have really light lights and deep darks. As I'm working, let me just take a minute to share. This is day 13 of my Tube-tober challenge, where I'm posting one video a day for the month of October. So if you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications to see all of those new videos. Once I've laid in the base, I put just a little splash of color. This is really fun to do with complementary colors. And then I take some modeling paste and lay it right where I want my focus to be. I usually do white, so I leave it as is, but this is a medium that's meant to be mixed with paint to give it the effect of a more extreme paint texture, so you'll get kind of stiffer peaks. Now you could do a lot more texture in a painting with this, but I love it for this effect specifically. Once my modeling paste is in, I take a small spray bottle and soak the area just until it starts to run. This gives it a little bit of that kind of acrylic paint pour look, but with some texture mixed in. I'll let that run and mix until most of the watery portions are gone. I really like to focus on getting some of those darker colors pooling around the textured peaks. I love this technique, and it was something that I kind of developed a while ago, and I usually come back to this method with acrylic abstract paintings. So that's it. 3 very unique and simple ways to create an abstract acrylic painting. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you try it, make sure to tag me on Instagram at Sparrow Springs. That's all for now, peeps, and I will see you in the next video.